Welcome to the Pencil Bob channel. I hope you enjoy my stories. Please like and subscribe, and hit that notification icon so you never miss out. Now on with the stories.
I'm still fuming as I sit down to write about the nightmare I've been living through with my condominium's property management company. It's hard to believe that a place I called home for over 20 years, a beautiful and pristine complex in northern New Jersey, has been reduced to a filthy, rundown mess. The lawns are barely maintained, and the whole place looks like a 20-year-old dirty campground. It's a complete embarrassment. I've been trying to get to the bottom of what's going on, but every door I try to open is slammed shut in my face. I've been asking the property management company for access to the HOA website to review the budget, but they've been giving me the runaround. They keep telling me that I don't have access, and when I try to email them, they block my emails. It's like they're trying to hide something. I even wrote to their attorney, hoping that he could help me get some answers. But all I got was a dismissive response telling me that he's not my attorney and can't help me. It's like they're all in cahoots trying to keep me in the dark. But that's not even the worst of it. As retaliation for my attempts to get information, I started receiving fines from the property management company. They claimed that I had security cameras mounted outside my condominium, which is against the rules. But when I pointed out that the president of the association has cameras mounted on the outside of his home, the attorney just wrote back saying that the board has made its final decision. It's like they're making up the rules as they go along. The fines started at $25 a day, and before I knew it, they had added up to $850. I was at my wit's end, so I retained an attorney to help me fight the fines. But even my lawyer told me that these people don't play by the rules, and that it would be a long and difficult battle to try to fight them. They advised me to just pay the fine and be done with it, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. It's not right that they can just bully me into paying a fine that I don't think is fair. What really gets my blood boiling is that the property management company has been taking my monthly maintenance fees and applying them to the fine. Then they have the nerve to send me late fees for the maintenance fees that they're not even applying to the right account. It's like they're trying to bleed me dry. I'm no lawyer, but I know that this is highly illegal. I've also been trying to get involved in the election process, but it seems like they're trying to keep me in the dark about that too. I've written to their lawyer asking about the election process, but I never get any information. It's like they're trying to keep me from having a say in how our complex is run. The president of the association has been in power for 13 years, and from what I've heard, he's not very popular. But somehow he keeps getting re-elected. I think it's because nobody else is willing to run against him, and he's got the property management company in his pocket. The president is always bragging to the neighbors about how rich he is and how much his fancy toys cost. It's like he's trying to rub it in our faces that he's living high on the hog while the rest of us are struggling to make ends meet, and to think that we, the homeowners, are the ones paying for his lavish lifestyle. It's disgusting. But what really takes the cake is that the property management company's partners in charge of our almost $2 million budget were tried in court for breach of contract and breach of the duty of loyalty, and they were fined a whopping $361,477.88. I'm not comfortable having two convicted criminals in charge of our budget, but it seems like nobody else is bothered by it. My goal is to get to the bottom of all this and bring these people to justice. I know there's a paper trail out there, and I just need to get my hands on the financials and meeting minutes, but the management company is doing everything in their power to block my access. It's like they're trying to cover up their crimes. I'm not going to give up, though. I'm going to keep fighting until I get the truth, and these people are held accountable. I want to see them behind bars for a long time, where they belong. It's the only way to restore our complex to its former glory and make sure that the homeowners are treated fairly. As I sit here, writing about my nightmare, I'm filled with a sense of determination. I'm not going to let these people get away with their illegal activities. I'm going to keep pushing until I get justice, no matter how long it takes. 2 years later, my resolve to expose the corrupt property management company and the crooked president of our homeowners association never wavered. But as time went on, the situation only grew worse. My initial attempts to bring light to their malfeasance were met with stonewalling, and I found myself embroiled in a relentless battle that drained me emotionally, physically, and financially. I kept sending letters, making phone calls, and even attending board meetings, where I was often met with hostility or completely ignored. The other residents, once supportive of my efforts, began to distance themselves from me. Fearful of the repercussions, they didn't want to be associated with the troublemaker, challenging the status quo. The isolation was tough, but I couldn't back down now. My attorney, initially confident we had a solid case, started to lose hope. The legal fees were mounting, and the fines from the property management company continued to pile up. The $850 fine ballooned into thousands of dollars, and my savings were rapidly depleting. My attorney's warnings about the difficulty of fighting this battle began to ring truer each day. One day, I received a notice from the property management company. They were foreclosing on my condominium. The late fees and unpaid fines had accumulated to a point where they were initiating legal proceedings to take my home. The place I had cherished for over 2 decades was now at risk of being taken away from me. I couldn't believe it. I had done everything right, played by the rules, and now I was facing the possibility of homelessness. My once pristine complex had turned into a personal hell, and there seemed to be no end in sight. Desperation set in as I realized that I might not be able to save my home. I attended the foreclosure hearing, hoping for a miracle. My lawyer presented our case, highlighting the mismanagement and corruption within the property management company. But the judge seemed unmoved. The opposition's lawyer painted me as a nuisance, someone who refused to comply with community rules. They twisted the narrative to make it seem like I was the problem, not them. In the end, the judge ruled in favor of the property management company. I was given 30 days to vacate my home. The shock and heartbreak were overwhelming. How could this be happening? I had fought so hard, but it felt like I was being punished for seeking the truth. Moving out of my condominium was the hardest thing I've ever done. Each box I packed was filled with memories of happier times, and each step I took away from my home felt like a step into an uncertain and frightening future. The neighbors I had once been close to avoided eye contact, afraid that my misfortune might somehow taint their lives. The complex continued to deteriorate. The lawns remained overgrown, the buildings unkempt. Rumors swirled about misappropriated funds and shady deals, but without concrete evidence, they remained just that, rumors. The president of the association and his cronies continued to live their lavish lifestyles, seemingly untouchable. 6 months later, life after losing my home was a struggle. I moved into a small apartment, the rent eating into my already strained finances. I took on extra work to make ends meet, but the sense of injustice never left me. I couldn't let go of the idea that the people who ruined my life were still out there, unpunished. I kept pushing for answers, filing complaints with state agencies and trying to rally the other residents, but my efforts were mostly in vain. The property management company had a tight grip on the community, and fear kept people from speaking out. My stories served as a warning to others about what could happen if they dared to challenge the powers that be. Depression set in. My health started to decline, and the stress of the past years took a heavy toll. I found myself battling not just external enemies, but my own inner demons. The fire that had driven me to seek justice flickered weakly, almost extinguished by the overwhelming sense of defeat. 1 year later, news broke that the president of the Homeowners Association had sold his unit and moved to a luxury estate in another state. The property management company changed hands, rebranding themselves and bringing in new faces, but the damage was done. The community was left to pick up the pieces of a shattered trust. I watched from afar, no longer a part of the place I once called home. The fight had cost me everything, my home, my savings, my health. In the end, it felt like the corrupt system had won, crushing my spirit and leaving me with nothing but a hollow sense of loss. As I reflect on my journey, I can't help but wonder if things could have been different. Maybe if I had approached things differently, or if more people had stood by my side, we could have made a difference. But those are just what-ifs now. The reality is, I fought a battle I couldn't win, and the price I paid was more than I could bear. I still dream of justice, of seeing those responsible held accountable. But for now, all I have is the hope that someday, someone else will succeed where I failed. Someone will expose the truth and bring the justice that eluded me. Until then, I try to rebuild my life piece by piece, carrying the scars of a fight that left me broken but not entirely defeated. Well, to start off with, you failed to heed the advice of the first lawyer. They told you to just pay the fines and be done with that. If you had paid the fines, then you could still fight them but now less likely to lose your home. At that point, you should have been looking to sell the condo, not waste whatever funds you have left on a fight that you are unlikely to win. Remember that they have your money and everyone else's to fight you. At some point in that 20 years when you looked around at the neglect, you should have been looking at getting out.
I would like to thank you for watching the video to the end. To encourage us to make more videos, please like, subscribe, comment, as well as share. Check out this other video if you haven't already.